Hello and welcome to Track by Track Reviews, and this week to talk about the new album All We Grow by artist Sean Carey, going by S. Carey, sort of the way that Matt Ward goes by M. Ward. S. Carey you probably know from Bon Iver's record For Emma Forever Ago, which was a huge hit and an album that I really liked also. I thought it was a beautiful album, so I expected a lot of beauty out of this album, but coming from the drummer from that band, you never really do know what to expect. Sort of the same deal with Phil Selway from Radiohead, just doing kind of a nice, quiet, calm album. And this album, and that album actually too, not a whole lot of drumming actually involved with the mix. So it's kind of interesting to see that. And Sean Carey is influenced by a lot of jazz drumming, and also something about this album, I don't know very much about production, if anything at all, but the way this album sounds, and he cited this, or this was cited on the Jag Jaguar website, is the album Mark Hollis, his self-titled album, the guy from Talk Talk, did this really intimate album just called Mark Hollis, and the way it's recorded, his voice is just right at the front of everything, and everything's really crisp. You can hear absolutely everything that's going on, even though the album maintains this really quiet mood. Everything's really, really clear. And you get that with this album a lot, too. And I'm not going to get into comparing this with Bon Iver's record For Emma Forever Ago, because that's not really fair. But I'd say it's similar to Bon Iver. All of the beauty and none of the pain is how I like to describe this album. And Sean Carey's voice is really good, and I don't mean that in the way when we first heard Phil Selway's new album, we're like, oh, he's got a pretty good voice. No, his voice isn't just good for a drummer, his voice is downright good. So anyway, let's go track by track and check this album out. The first song is called Move, and this is one of my favorites on the album. The first minute or so is just all instrumentals, and it seems to be building to something, we don't really know what. And the woodwind instruments really create almost like an ambient kind of music style for the first minute, which is pretty cool. And then we get this just really pretty acoustic guitar part, really simple but really pretty. And then we hear his voice for the first time, and if you haven't heard anything by him, you're going to be really pleased with how his voice sounds. It's excellent. He really does a good job of layering his vocals over one another, blending them into one. It's just seamless, and it sounds really good. We're going to actually play a clip right now, courtesy of Jag Jaguar Records, so take a listen.
Dream of a vacant pier, move all your maps to here. If I could run my fingers through your hair.
The next song, We Fell, another one of my favorites on the album, centered more around the piano, and still, layering his vocals on top of each other. This track actually reminds me of something that might have come off Jan Thor Bergeson's newest record. There's also this great separate piano part that comes in just before the 3-minute mark, and I'd say that's one of the highlights of this song. The next song, In the Dirt, was released as a free download a couple months ago, I think, and you can still go get that at Jag Jaguar's website, so definitely do that. This is one of my favorite songs on the album, and like I said, it's up for free download, so you don't need this video to hear it, but I'm going to play it anyway because it's so good. It's just utter beauty. This is a great song. It's probably one of the most rhythmic, too, on the album. Like I said, not a whole lot of drums on this album. And even the drum part for this isn't really a whole lot of drums. It's just a kick drum and some stick clicks and claps to a 7/8 rhythm. And you know what? It's enough because this song's just so great. He pretty much sticks to the same couple of lyrics, just repeats them over and over, but you hardly even notice just because it's such a gorgeous song. There's really a wide variety of instruments being used on this album, and they really get the job done here.
We were meant to see in the dirt.
The next song, Rothko Fields, is completely instrumental and pretty much along the same lines of the first track on this album, Move. Just sort of that really atmospheric, kind of mysterious, really pretty. Not a great song, not in love with it, but it's nice. I really feel just kind of apathetic towards the song. I could take it or leave it. The next song, Mothers, is a song that I have a lot of things to say about it positively that can be said about pretty much every song before it. And it's just, great vocals, pretty guitar, nice instrumentation. And with that comes one of the problems with this album is he never really changes anything up. He just sort of sticks to the same ideas for every song. And it's about at this point for me that I get kind of tired of it and I'm waiting for a shift that's just not going to happen. Like I said, it's a nice song, but it's just the same kind of stuff, sad mood, a nice voice, and backing vocals singing wordless melodies. It just grows a little tired. The next song, Action, it first seems like it's going to be the shift that you're waiting for, but it turns out to be completely instrumental. I mean, it comes in with a pretty powerful electric guitar, and that's what kind of fools you. This is also one of the few true drum beats on this album. And this is the most energetic song in the album, but that being said, it's still not that energetic. Just compared to the other songs on this album, is it considered energetic. I really just felt like a track like this was begging for some intense vocals, and like I said, it's instrumental, so he didn't really give you that. This track really just comes off as sort of a work in progress, like it's not finished, like he just started working on it and then couldn't think of anything and just kind of called it quits. The next song, In the Stream, is also available for free download on Jaguar's website, and once again, one of my favorite songs on the album. It's just undeniably beautiful. It does run a little long, but it's okay. The violin part sounds really good, and there's also a female backing vocal. I'm not sure who it is singing, but I think that adds a lot with the violin and her singing. Just sounds very like a Home Sweet Home kind of feel. There's something about this song, too, that reminds me of Iron and Wine. Just the way he delivers his vocals is slightly different, and it's just sort of that like whispery, soft kind of singing. The next song on the album, All We Grow, it's a pretty good song. I really like the way the electric guitar sounds. It's very spaced out. The notes are really far apart, and that works with the calm sort of mood of this album. I mean, overall, I don't love it, but it's pretty, it's nice, and I feel like that's kind of what can be said of a lot of the songs on this album. Now, the last song on the album, Broken, works as a closer because it's really calm and melancholy, but once again, that can be said of every song on this album, only this song's a little longer. I'd say the most interesting part comes about 4 minutes in. There's an unexpected burst of energy coming in the form of several people singing all at once, very loudly. And then there's a great sort of, I think it's a vibraphone part that is probably the most interesting part of the song. Okay, overall, I think this is a good album, but it's really also nothing special. I was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you. Sean Carey has a real knack for creating this certain gloomy kind of mood, but unfortunately, I feel like that's the only card that he really played, and he just kind of stuck with it for the entire album. And that's okay, but, after a little bit, I want to hear something slightly different, change the pace, and once again, that never happened. And there's tons of instruments used on this album, and I would have loved to see them used for more than just one purpose. Like I said, every song on this album is really pretty, but I feel like for this kind of slow, pretty music to blow me away, it's got to have great lyrics, and none of the lyrics on this album really grabbed me. It also seemed like with some of the instrumental parts of the songs, and just some of the songs that were just purely instrumental, it just felt undeveloped. Once again, like Action, just seemed like he started writing a song and then just couldn't think of anything. It doesn't actually come off as seeming like an instrumental track so much as he couldn't think of a vocal part to write. Once again, I love the production of this album. You can hear everything. When he exhales very quietly after delivering a line, or when he opens his mouth to deliver a line, you can hear his lips separating or him breathing in air. Just little stuff like that's really, really intimate and really charming, I think. I mean, I'll definitely be looking for his other stuff in the future, because there's definitely some really great songs on here that show a lot of potential. Of course, In the Dirt's just a great song. If you check out one song from this album, check out that one. But really, I feel like I'm just kind of going to grab the first 3 tracks and then In the Stream and, go on my way. Maybe when winter gets here, I think once winter gets here, I probably will take this thing back out and try it on again. But right now I'm going to have to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Not a bad album at all. It's just pretty good. It's not great though. Like I said, it's all beautiful, but it's an overload of the same mood. And this is coming from someone who is into those slow, beautiful types of songs. But if you're not one of those people and you need a funky bass line and a nice driving beat, I'd say just stick to your Red Hot Chili Peppers albums. So once again, the album's All We Grow by Carey on Jaguar Records. I'd say go check it out, and tell me what you think. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, leave a comment. So yeah, I'm Rory Sullivan for Track by Track Reviews. See you next week.